Hey, it's Mad Master. I'm doing another video. I may do more tonight, but I'm not sure yet. But if you see another video done, then I have done another video. So this video is about a very controversial subject, which I am quite mixed on at times, but I find it interesting and entertaining nevertheless, and that's astrology. So I've been watching astrology videos. I've been fascinated by astrology since I was a kid. It's kind of around the house, grew up kind of in a new agey environment. From actually both sides of the family had various people that were kind of into some interesting stuff. So this year I started watching them because I wanted to kind of get to the psychological archetypical thing with my failed relationship at the beginning of the year. So I got into all this stuff. But nevertheless, recently we've had this Saturn, Jupiter, Saturn, Aquarius conjunction. All these 800 year, 2000 year, and I don't even know if it's 2000 year. First time in 800 years that these certain planets have been together and all this stuff. So, watching a lot of videos about that. When we kind of summarize what I believe my interpretation of the science, which is not really, or pseudoscience, of course, is as far as what's going to happen in the next year or two. Because recently I heard Rune Soup and also the Astrology Podcast, a lot of Dune Sheva, a lot of others that I can't even remember. So this is what happened with this virus stuff, is that Saturn was in Pluto, and it was a bad conjunction with Capricorn and Jupiter and all this stuff, and and this change over to air signs instead of earth signs for the next few hundred years, as far as where the planets are in. This is just my interpretation. If you want to, if you were to believe in this, which I'm not even sure if I believe in this stuff, but I'm just kind of summarizing it for everybody. This is my interpretation. This was the last grasp of power from the forces of Earth, really, like the materialist minds. This huge concentration of wealth. The United States is the worst, of course, and then China, pretty close as far as the materialism and everything. So, whether or not you believe the virus is man-made or not, it's this manifestation of this consciousness. I'm just kind of, actually, I'm making this part up as I say that, do this video. This manifestation of this consciousness that is part of it I'm making up, that it's this last grasp of power, it's like when the the NRA thing, for my cold dead hands, like the gun thing, you won't grab my gun. It's like they're grabbing onto the material wealth and trying to grasp onto it, and the power too, this authoritarianism, technocracy. They're trying to pull onto it. At the same time, they're artificially, subconsciously trying to enter the age of Aquarius, not the age of Aquarius, but the the air signs and Aquarius, particularly for the next few years, by doing these things like the Great Reset. They think that this top-down thing will work. All these things, whether consciously or not. I mean, they're trying to grasp onto their power. And Saturn-Pluto conjunction since about January 12th of this year has been the virus, because that's when a lot of the cases were reported. January 12th was the first, some kind of milestone, and then each time Saturn entered Pluto, you had these cases and deaths and hospitalizations go up, at least in the United States, which at this point is, as far as I know, is the epicenter of the virus. So whether or not you believe that it's like a big deal or anything like that, it's also about power. Like Austin Kopek has said on various podcasts, like Rune Soup, and Gordon White and others have talked about. So the Saturn-Pluto conjunction is this upward trend of wealth, and also the cases and stuff, because it's a manifestation of this consciousness that people have with regards to fear and everything else. I'm just throwing this a lot of this shit. I'm just kind of making this up as I go along, but whether or not I believe in this doesn't really matter. It's just fascinating. I don't really care. But this is kind of my interpretation of all the podcasts I've watched and listened to over the last like 6 months, pretty much, about all this stuff. So when this conjunction happened, this is gonna it can go in one of several ways. It can go into a technocracy because that's more of Aquarian kind of thing, or it can go in this communal bottom up, type of consciousness too. So that's really the warring factions on the planet right now. I fucking sound like a pretty flaky new age granola eating motherfucker right now, but that's fine. So the lockdowns are Saturn, Pluto, and as well as all this stuff, and also we entered Aquarius a little bit, and that was the protests. Or wait, Saturn entered Aquarius a little bit in 2020, and that was when all these protests started, including the anti-lockdown ones and Black Lives Matter. That's what a lot of these people are saying. So what's going to be interesting is Saturn is not going to go back in Pluto because a lot of these astrologers have said that that's the virus. That's the lockdowns and the virus. It doesn't mean there won't be more lockdowns because there already are. But this is the most interesting thing of all. Saturn and Uranus. And Saturn going into Uranus means rebellion, revolt, revolution. And that is something that, whether or not you believe in this stuff, that's kind of what that represents to a lot of people. And I guess 3 times, just as this past year, it's gone into, directly conjuncted a few times. And that's when a lot of the rise in cases and stuff of the virus in America has happened. Someone did a graph, actually. Actually, it's in one of my videos already. So the graph continues to be accurate, by the way. It's pretty crazy. I don't know what to say about that, but I'm agnostic about it. I'll say that. So the whole Saturn-Uranus thing to me represents rebellion. I think they are losing their authoritarian. I don't, whether or not you believe in lockdowns as a policy of viral, against the virus, you can't deny that these people have used this power and gotten off on it in some ways. There's a lot of it's unscientific. Like, example, like they won't allow people to go, well, just on a basic premise of this, like, oh, fast food is open, but the gyms are closed, or, you can't, there's a lot of stuff, like, you read about it, you're like, that doesn't make sense because that contradicts the other rule and all this stuff. So whether or not you believe in this as a policy of stemming the virus, it doesn't matter because it is them holding on to power in a general sense. So, and especially in the United States, where there hasn't really been hardly any help for people that are struggling. There's been little things in here and there. Ironically, a lot from the Trump side. And, obviously, the Bernies and the AOCs of the world do want more help. But the establishment Democrats and the establishment Republicans have been the worst enemies of that. So here's what I think could happen as far as what I've interpreted. This next coming year, from all these podcasts, this is not going to be like, I don't want to make any predictions really, but I'm gonna anyways. The cases will drop. The vaccine may or may not work. I'm not sure, or it may be endemic, so you'll have to get it every year. But there will be some huge protests coming up. There already was one in India. It was the biggest protest ever in humanity. I believe it was like, hundreds of millions of people or something. It was like in India. So you'll see these like massive protests and possible revolts, I wouldn't say civil war, but definitely civil skirmishes in the coming year. and these, especially around these Saturn Uranus conjunction points. Um, what I hope will happen is that, so like I was watching something today, and a lot of this entering in Aquarius is about communities and like localization of stuff. I mean, as much as I don't want to say this, I think we could see like different states in the United States be fundamentally different, like they're almost other countries. And I mean, we're already seeing it, and whether or not you agree with one side or the other about the virus, look at Florida versus California right now. I mean, Steel Panther played a fucking show, a real show in. They're playing like 3 shows in Florida because Florida is open, and then California, I don't. It'll probably be like a year or two before they could even play a show. Looking at all their policies and stuff, um, just these different this diversification of these political philosophies and ideas may um, cause us to be further divided. But at the same time, it's about, like the Aquarian thing is about community and a communal spirit of belonging, but more localization is at the same time. So that could happen. Um, but I'll tell you this. So, watching these podcasts and reading all these predictions, as far as all the rebellion and all the revolts and possible revolutions, I welcome that. I'm naturally attracted to that. That's something that I like. And whether or not that's because just, that's who I am, I don't know. But it's just, if that's what Saturn, if this astrology stuff is true as far as the Saturn and Neptune stuff, I completely welcome revolution. I guess they are saying that 2021 is not going to be as bad as 2022, but it's not. I don't think either one's going to be as bad as 2020, as far as I know. But we're gonna see. Yeah, we're gonna see some really big movements pop up. I think, but I'm hoping they have some sanity and some rationality to them. I mean, the last 5-7 years, there's been a lot of just debates over language and, what you're supposed to say, what you're supposed to not say. It's like, got to get back to just like listening to each other and not like attacking each other. And that includes me, because I attack people too, I mean, obviously I just attacked Deborah Burks in a video, but she's a hypocrite. I attack hypocrites. See, that's what I do. I have no tolerance or threshold for hypocrisy. So I'm going to continue to do videos about these hypocrites regarding the virus, because I just think it's it's entertaining to me. Honestly, I'm entertained by it. Like you could, I mean, why don't we hear about? I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but we don't hear about like people that are on the other side. Like, it would be interesting to hear like DeSantis will like. Let's say like DeSantis washes his hands and wears a mask, like driving his car or something like that. Like, oh really? Like he would be a hypocrite on the other side. That'd be hilarious. But yeah. Anyways, it's Saturn and Uranus is a better conjunction than Saturn and Pluto, and almost every astrologer I've watched has said that is related to the virus, or some kind of earlier on they were predicting it has something to do with some kind of conflict or dark energy. Whether or not it's the virus, they didn't. Some of them said it could be plague or pestilence or whatever. It's hardly a plague. I'm just saying, but it's interesting. So I think a revolution is calling, and I think we need to revolt against these authoritarians, of all sorts. And I believe in liberty and freedom. And, obviously there comes responsibility as well, but, just when you see these hypocrites every day, whatever they do, or these people that contradict themselves, even like AOC, she's fucking become an establishment person, these people are just, people sell out, they just bend over, it's a crumbling system, but I think that we're entering a new era in conjunction or whatever you want to call it, and this old system is gonna crumble. You know, that's what's gonna happen. And that's about all.